All right, welcome America, welcome Justin Bieber. Today we are going to be doing an SOL quick check on proving triangles congruent and proving triangles similar. So we're going to start with proving triangles congruent, which if you go to the VEDO, if you Google Virginia Department of Education SOL quick checks for geometry and go to number G6, G stands for geometry, G6. This is the front and the back is 7. So, given angle W and angle Y are right angles. This is given information, it's at the top, it's not on the diagram. So let's go ahead and start by putting that information on the diagram. VW is congruent to ZY. So this symbol, I can't write on the board. I always think I can write on the board, but I can't. This means congruent, and this means similar. Congruent are same figures that have same shape, same size. Similar figures are same shape, different sizes. So did I put that information on the diagram? VW is congruent to ZY. So let me mark that on there. They also told us that X is the midpoint, the point in the middle of WY, which tells us that these lengths are also congruent. So I'm going to put a different mark there to show that they're the same. And now we've got all the information that's given to us and we've put it on the diagram. Now we're being asked to prove that triangle VWX is congruent to triangle ZYX. Okay? This is a 2-column proof. And how this works is on the left are statements of things that we know, and on the right are the reasons that we know them. When we get to the bottom, we start with what we know, and then the last statement should always be what we're trying to prove. Prove this, that should be the last statement, and then you should say the reason why, and it should be one of the ways that we prove triangles congruent, and we're going to go over those. So let's go ahead and start. Oh, and just so you know, on your SOL, what we're going to be writing in here, that's going to be in a word bank, probably at the bottom, and you'll just drag and drop it. You're not going to have to write anything in. The first statement says angle W and angle Y are right angles. How do we know that? We know that because we were given that information. So the reason is given. Well, angle W is congruent to angle Y. Why do we know that? Because they're both right angles, and that's the definition of a right angle. That's the second statement. The third statement is VW is congruent to ZY and X is the midpoint of WY. Well, that information has also been given to us, so that's given. And then after we were taking that information and putting it on the diagram, by telling us that X is the midpoint of WY, we knew that these lengths were congruent. So I'm going to say these lengths are congruent because that's the definition of a midpoint. It cuts that segment right in half. So WX is congruent to YX. And now we have all the information that we have marked on the two triangles. So how do we know these two triangles are congruent? Should be. You were ahead of me. Yes. Here are the 5 possible answers. Okay, the 5 ways to prove triangles congruent. And I had this in a summary for you guys, and it's been a bit. This was Unit 4, and we're finishing up Unit 12. Side, 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 angle, side. HL, hypotenuse, leg. Angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. Those are the options. So, yes, it is side, angle, side, because we have 2 sides and an angle in between them. You might think it could be HL, and that is a really good thing to think, because these are right triangles. So it's possible that HL could be one of the ways to prove those two triangles congruent. However, HL means hypotenuse leg, and we don't have any information on this hypotenuse. But we do have an angle in between 2 sides. So this is side, angle, side, SAS, side, angle, side. Any questions? Anyone still filling that out or writing that in? Okay, I would write these down. That's good information to have. Let's go to the next problem. If I can get my mouse on the screen. Come on now. There we go. Okay, problem number 2. 2 triangles are given. Is there sufficient information to prove these 2 triangles congruent? Before we can start, I need to mark the hidden information. There's hidden information on this diagram, and it is the vertical angles right here. Those are congruent. I'm going to put 2 marks because I already have one angle with 1 mark, so I need to show that these are congruent, but they're different than those. Okay, now let's look at what we have. The 5 ways I just listed on the last slide. Are these 2 triangles congruent by any of those 5 ways?
Angle, side angle.
Because we've got 2 angles and a side in between the 2 angles. So in the diagram, the side is between the 2 angles. So in the name, the side is in between the 2 angles. It's good enough for now. I'm happy with that. Now for B, it says, am I going too fast? Is everybody good with that? Okay. So if possible, which it is, right, create a congruency statement to indicate the 2 triangles are congruent. People get really confused about this. Oh, it's a congruency statement. Those are big words. All that means is you're going to write this triangle is congruent to this triangle. So the first triangle I'm going to name triangle CBA just because I had to pick a way to name it. So I'm going to name it triangle CBA. Now, because I named this triangle, I started with C and I went down to B and up to A, I have to name the second triangle the same way. I have to name this one triangle CED. And that's it. That's all a congruency statement is. This segment is congruent to this segment, or this angle is congruent to this angle, or this triangle is congruent to this triangle. Good times. Are we having fun yet? Do you guys love my new baseball shirt? This is from Coach Earl. Freaking fire. Look at the back. Can you read it? Yeah. Okay, I love it. Okay. So, should I do number 1? Let's do number 1. We'll just make a longer video. It's fine. So when we go to G7, these problems are about similar triangles, ways to prove triangles similar, not congruent. Same shape, different size. So I've got 2 triangles here, and if I just redraw the bigger triangle right here, you can see that this length is 8 plus x, and this length is 15. And here's the small triangle, right there. What value of x will prove the 2 triangles, the small triangle and the big triangle, similar? Well, these 2 triangles, if they were similar, they should have the same ratios and they should be proportional. So if I'm going to do 6 is to 8, like this length is to this length, then I need to do this length is to this length. So I'm going to write a proportion and put those numbers in. So 6, and there are different ways to write a proportion. I'm just choosing to put the 6 over the 8. And since I chose to put the 6 over the 8, that means I have to put the 15 over the 8 plus x. And then cross multiply and divide. And that's going to be 6 times 8 plus x equals 15 times 8. There we go. That's times. Okay. And then I should go ahead and distribute that. So that's 48 plus 6x equals 120 minus 48 minus 48. Solving for x now. 6x equals 72. I'm getting x is 12. Someone check my work. So the hardest thing about this kind of problem is the setup. And then if you can get the setup, you have to remember to distribute the 6 to the entire quantity 8 plus x. So it has to be 6 times 8 plus 6 times x. How are we doing? Okay. Anyone still writing? We got one more problem to do. We're going to skip problem 2 and go to problem 3. What additional information is needed to prove the two triangles similar by SAS? Side, angle, side. Side, angle, side. That's the only angle we have, so we need the two sides on either side. Well, we've got on this triangle that we need to be similar to the other triangle. We've got a side and an angle. We need the other side. We need this side here. So I'm just going to put an X there. And these are similar, so we need a proportion. So if I choose to put 3 over 5 on one side, then in the other...
12 over X.
Yep. Now, since they're asking what additional information is needed to prove the two triangles similar, I shouldn't, even though I've already found the answer, I really should write it like JL equals 20, because that's the information that we actually need. So I should write it JL equals 20. That's the information we need to prove the two triangles similar. Any questions? I can attach this worksheet. All right, or you could just Google it.